Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning. Very good. So, any pending things completed from your end? Apart from permissions, you can, if you have anything else, we'll see. But anything else pending from your end? There are few folks yesterday who hasn't completed, right? Okay, fine. Let me share my screen. Today I'll continue with core Java. Before that, yesterday we discussed about some basic introduction of core Java, and we discussed about how JDK, JRE, and how JDK, JRE, and JVM works. Maybe correction to that one point. I just want to share one image today. Let me share my screen. I hope it's visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Fine. So yesterday we discussed about JDK, JVM, and JRE, but for a change, JDK, JRE, and JVM. JVM is the last part here. Even you can see the comments that I have mentioned. JDK, basic Java libraries plus supportive libraries, converting from user-defined program to mission understandable format, which converts this program and send it to JRE. Inside JRE, along with this JDK libraries, extra supportive libraries will be there. Extra supportive libraries will be there. Again, it convert the mission understandable format to Java binary ASCII format. So all the programs will be understood by ASCII format only, right? So ASCII means zeros and ones. So that format it will convert. So it navigates to JVM, and JVM processes that particular program, and output will be sent back to JRE with mission level format, and that mission level format will be converted to user understandable format and will give the final output. So only small changes, JRE and JVM are in a reverse order. So rest of the activities are same. Okay. So today we will discuss about the OOPS concepts of core Java. OOPS concept. What is meant by OOPS? Anyone? Anyone?
Inheritance Palmer prisms.
What is meant by OOPS?
Object-oriented programming language.
Object-oriented programming
Language.
structure.
Sorry.
Object-oriented programming structure. Why the name called object-oriented programming structure? Why we have this name? Why we have this name?
All the programs will written in objects.
Okay. Just give me a moment, guys. One moment, please. Okay. Someone is saying about this one, object-oriented programming structure. Why that name?
Sir, all programs and data is inside a object and class.
Inside the object. What is meant by object before that?
Real world entities. Sir.
Real world entity. What is meant by entity?
Hmm.
Okay, fine. So the point what you said, everything, all the program will be designed based on the object, the structure of the object only. But what is meant by object? In order to understand why we are calling this as a OOPS concept, not only in Java, you can go to any programming language. The basic first concept that they are going to deal with is OOPS concept only. Why OOPS concept? Why object-oriented programming structure? Why we need to know about this concept? What is the importance of this concept? Means whenever you learn Java, whenever you started any programming language, whenever you want to know any programming language, OOPS concept is the base concept. Base means base is different, basic is different. Basic means it's a low level thing. Base means it's an important thing that I'm talking about. So without this OOPS concept, there is no concept of learning any of the programming language that we are having. Why we need to learn this OOPS concept, which will give fundamentals to design the program, Likewise, there are multiple concepts under OOPS, object-oriented programming structure. There are concepts which are depending on object structure. What are those concepts that we have under OOPS? What are the concepts that we have under OOPS? First one, object, class, polymorphism, inheritance, anything else?
Encapsulation.
Abstraction,
Abstraction,
encapsulation,
encapsulation,
Method overloading.
Method
overriding. Method overriding.
Next, someone is saying, what is that? Nothing? Okay. Before understanding each and every concept here, each and every structure that we are seeing here, let's keep this method overloading and method overriding aside for now. So we will discuss it whenever we are discussing about the concept of methods. Okay, for sure. Anyways, methods are the important things that we need to discuss. We will discuss it. Okay. First thing that you need to understand is these are the major OOPS concept, the concepts of object-oriented structure. These are the major ones that we are having, right? So based on this, we need to understand each and every term that we have here. So what is meant by object? don't tell it in a technical way. What is the generic definition of object?
It is an instance of class, sir.
That's what is meant by instance. What is meant by class again?
Class is nothing but set of similar objects. Instance is subset, I think so.
What is meant by again? That's what when you are defining object. Sorry, okay, let me know. Let me change this one. Hierarchy. Okay, what is meant by class then?
It is a set of similar objects.
Set of similar object.
Blueprint or mask copy, sir?
Blueprint or
Mask copy.
what is meant by
Blueprint or mask
blueprint?
copy.
What is meant by blueprint?
Some the developer is given some.
Okay, so what is that? What is meant by blueprint? Maybe I'm just thinking about the term called similar objects. We can call it a set of objects or group of objects is nothing but a class. But what is the importance of that? What kind of importance it is going to provide? Class. What will happen with class and without class?
Without class, there will be no function.
Okay.
If you create a class name like human, there should be the name of the object should be mentioned like name. So that is an will be class and object.
Okay. See, if you know the answer, tell it confidently. Don't worry about that. I'll correct it, whatever you're saying. Okay.
Yes,
Can
sir.
we create a class without object?
No, sir.
Anyone
we can
else?
create, but there will be no use.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, sir. First of all, you create class after that object is.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else?
Sir, without class, we should not execute the program, sir.
I said without object. Can we create a class without object? My question is,
Okay.
can we create a class without object? Is my question. It's a straightforward question. Answer to this straightforward question is no. But is there any possibility to create a class without object? Do we have any alternatives for that? Yes, we do have alternatives for that. When we go in detail concept of each and everything, when we are discussing in future, you will come to know there is a concept called static methods. There is a concept called static methods that can be used for creating an without creating an object, we can use that in the class. So that's one thing that we can make use of it. But straightforward question, can we create a class without object? The answer is no. But by using static methods, we can. Understood? But you'll come to know what is meant by static method, non-static method, how to call that static and non-static methods, what is meant by method, what is meant by static variable, what is meant by non-static variable, how you can call it as static or non-static. You'll come to know, don't worry about that, but just keep in mind that there is a possibility. There is no concept of no possibility. Okay, we have a possibility of creating a class without object, but that's an alternative. We can call it as a workaround or something, but straightforward answer is no. Direct object without without object, class cannot be created. Okay, understood? Now,
Yes, sir.
can you please go on mute, Zahir? Okay, next one. Any any points that you want to come up with what is meant by class before going to syntax? Okay, let me tell you, there are most of the things that if you want to understand how this class works and how this program can be executed and how the class can be derived and how you can make use of each and every point when you are talking about the class. Of class is nothing but group of objects which are having common properties. So what is meant by common property? Someone said blueprint, right? But someone said blueprint, I think Pradeep or someone. So blueprint is nothing but the definition of blueprint is nothing but it's a reference. It's a kind of template. We can call it as a definition of blueprint comes from this one, template or references or having the same kind of references. So earlier days we used to have a carbon paper. What is that carbon paper? Whenever two pieces of papers, if we are going to keep that carbon paper in the middle and if we are going to write on top of that, the same thing will happen. We'll print at the back also in the second paper also because of this carbon paper, right? So what is the purpose of that? To make same kind of references, we are using some element which is nothing but a carbon paper, and this makes us to create some references or template in the same format, right? Likewise, blueprint definition is nothing but it's a kind of references or template or having the same kind of information to be printed on the second. So class is nothing but group of objects which are having common properties. And someone said whenever we are defining an object, you said like runtime, real-time entity, runtime entity. So whenever you are defining such kind of things, try to get the information on the technical terms. What is meant by entity? Okay, here in class there is no technical terms that we can use for now, but but while creating a class, what are the important properties that we are going to have? What are the important properties that we are going to have while creating a class? Okay, so usually the syntax for class is, it's a general thing, class name, that's it. This is the general syntax of class. But Whenever you are creating a class, here we mentioned it as a group of objects, right? So not only objects, we are going to have methods, we are going to have nested classes, we are going to have different items in this. So what are those? What are those list of properties that we are going to have in a class, right? So those are a class contains, okay, one thing, methods we are going to have, constructors we are going to have, we are going to have nested classes, nested class, we are going to have interfaces, we are going to have blocks, we are going to have already methods covered, right? Yeah, yes. So when you create a class, you may have this particular list. I'm not saying everything is mandatory, but you can see this one. Methods will be there. When object is there, constructor will be there. Nested class are also there. What is meant by nested class? A class inside another class is nothing but nested class. A class inside another class is nothing but nested class. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. So this is all about a simple introduction, and whatever the things that we are going to have in the class is nothing but set of similar objects and group of objects which are having common properties. The syntax of class is class name, and a class contains methods, constructors, nested classes, interface, and blocks. So what is meant by method? What is meant by constructor? What is meant by nested class? What is meant by interfaces? What is meant by blocks? So I'll define all these things after this OOPS concept, list of OOPS concept that we have. Okay, next one. What is meant by object? Now you explain me what is meant by object. Anyone? I can mark it as a, I can consider it as a runtime entity. But what is meant by entity? I'll explain you what is meant by runtime. Anyone? Okay. Anyone? No idea?
Sir, object is a collection of properties and actions.
Object is a collection of properties and actions. Okay. I'll
The
consider
property is
this.
nothing but variables, and action is nothing but methods.
Object is a collection of properties and actions. Any other? Okay. So object, any physical item that you are going to see, in general language, any item physically, if you are going to see, then you are going to call that as an object, right? So even your laptop is nothing but an object, right? Your mobile phone is nothing but an object. Your television is nothing but an object. Your watch is nothing but an object. Every physical item what you are going to see will be considered as an object in general terms, right? So in terms of software, every object will have some status, behavior, and identity. Every object will have status, behavior, and identity. Even in general terms also, as I mentioned, like every product, every object that you are seeing, like even laptop will have some status, laptop will have some behavior, laptop will have some identity, right? Likewise, whenever you are designing a program, even in that program also, it will have some status, behavior, and identity. In terms of programmatic part, whenever you're talking about software or in terms of programmatic part, the term called status, behavior, and identity will come from the object only. Whenever you create the object, the status, behavior, and identity comes into the picture. Okay, so an object is nothing but it's an entity. Someone said entity means a thing or an item. We can call it as a thing or an item. We can call it as here runtime. Why we have used the term called runtime? Runtime means whenever the program is getting executed, that program execution is completely depending on the status, behavior, and identity that we are going to create. Let's see what is meant by status, what is meant by behavior, and what is meant by identity. State, behavior, and identity. What is meant by state? What is meant by state? Anyone?
Features of an object, sir.
Feature of an object. Okay. Any other? Okay. So state is nothing but what is the condition, right? Represents the condition. Whether we are talking about programmatic point of view, right? So whether that program is accepting the external data or not, whether that program is accepting the internal data or not, whether that program is accepting the value that we are passing or not. So it all it all depends on the data that we are going to pass. Likewise, state always defines or represents the data that we are going to send to the object. The data that we are going to send to the object. So it always talks about the data that we are going to send to the object. Represents the data we send to the object. Next, what is meant by behavior? What is meant by behavior? What is meant by behavior?
Action performed.
Action. Action.
Action performed by objects.
Okay. Any other?
What is doing that object? Sir?
What is
Doing that object.
okay? Any other? Okay. Behavior always talks about how this program, how this object is behaving, like how this functionality is being executed, what this object is doing while executing the program. So what is the functionality it represents to? What is the next set of actions it is performing? So whatever the points that you said is correct, but still if you want to understand how it works, right? So the behavior always talks about the functionality. It represents to the functionality of the program. Functionality of the program. Next one, identity. What is meant by identity?
Like name.
Name is identity, do you think?
Colors.
Sorry, what is that?
Colors.
Color. Okay, we are talking about some group set of properties.
Yes, sir.
No, we are talking about object, individual object. Right? Okay, let me tell you. Identity. Maybe this is a backend job where you'll not able to see in the front end at all, even in the real time also, whenever you design an object, whenever you create an object. But you have to understand what is going to happen regarding the identity. Okay, object identity is nothing but object identity is nothing but it's an unique ID which will be used to identify the object that we are going to create. Okay, unique identifier which will be used to identify the object, which will be used to identify the object. But there is a point behind this. What is the purpose? What is the use if you are going to identify? Okay, what is the purpose of identifying the object while executing a program? Do you understand my point now? What is the purpose? What is the purpose of identifying an object while executing a program? Anyone? No? Fine. So here, let's talk about 2 points. Suppose a classroom is there. Okay, there is a classroom where in that classroom there is only one student who is there in that classroom, right? So is that easy to find out that particular student in the classroom, or is it very complex to find out that candidate in the classroom?
Easy, sir.
Easy. Why? Because there is only one candidate who is there in that classroom. By saying his name, from so and so classroom, we'll be able to identify it very easily. We don't have any complications over there, right? Suppose if there are 150 people, 150 candidates are there in the classroom. Out of 150 candidates, I want to identify only one person. Is there what is the possibility? If we are going to call by his name, his or her name, what is going to happen? At least there are 2 to 3 people who are having the same name, right? They'll come into the picture. Are you able to understand my example?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? Out of that 3 to 5 people who is having the common name, so how you are going to identify that specific candidate which is required for you?
Roll number.
Okay, any other?
Surnames.
Okay, but still there might be a chances of having same surname too.
Roll number.
Roll number is one primary thing that we have. Second,
Nickname.
not too sure. It's almost equals to surname only. Okay.
Father name.
Okay, father name. See, just think about name is a different constraint, guys. So name itself is a different constraint, because if you are going to depend on the name, then obviously the naming constraint, the property or the name that we are talking about will have multiple people with the same thing. Okay, name always be a 50-50%. Okay, always this unique identifier, that's first priority will be the roll number, what someone said. Second thing will be his ID, unique ID. It might be Aadhaar card ID or some other ID, so that can be used to identify that person. Okay, third, any other alternatives that we are having? Maybe third least priority, we can consider it as a surname or nickname that we are going to have, that candidate is going to have. We can consider that as well. Based on these three, we'll identify that particular person. So if if there are group of people, so okay, so the identity means it's an unique identifier. The first word itself is saying that unique identifier. Unique means it's a single identifier that we are going to have. If there are multiple people with same name, we need to identify that unique person. So we need to identify that required person. Who is that person with that unique identifier? So here my question is, what is the purpose of identifying an object while executing a program? This identifier, this identity helps us to identify that particular person whenever we are executing a program. That's one of the main reason whenever we are creating a class, even though that class is having multiple objects, having multiple objects. Okay, let's say one example I'll tell you here to understand what is that concept of unique identifier. So I'm just considering this as a class school. Okay, inside this class we have a method. I'm not writing any syntax here. I'm just writing the method name. Grade 1. Okay, this is the method name. Student 1, student 2. Okay, method grade 2, student 3, student 4. Okay. Consider that these are the objects. Student 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the objects. Okay. Student 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the objects. So every object will have status, behavior, and identity. Status, behavior, and identity. So there might be a chance of having same status. Status might be same of each and every object. Behavior is also same, but identity will be different. Whenever you create multiple objects, for all the objects, the identity will be different. So for student 1, one unique ID will be generated. For student 2, one unique ID will be generated. For student 3, one unique ID will be generated. For student 4, one unique ID will be generated. So this unique ID is what I'm talking about will not display in the front end. This is all about backend activity which is going to happen. This is all about backend activity which is going to happen. So what is the purpose of creating 4 unique identities for 4 different objects here? Because while running a program, what is going to happen? While running a program, what is going to happen? This JDK sends this program to JRE, and this JRE converting this program to JVM. Okay, whenever JVM processes the program and sends the output back to JDK, it has to identify through through unique ID, which is called object ID only. Suppose I want to get the output as a student 4. How can you get that? Because status is same, behavior is same. Only thing that you can differentiate from here is identity only, right? So that identity will be captured by the JVM here in the backend. So for this purpose, we are creating 4 different identities for 4 different objects we are creating in a class. Understood what is the purpose? In order to process the program and in order to get the proper output from the program, JVM requires unique ID for that particular object. That unique ID will be created by the concept called identity. Understood? Still any questions?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
No, sir.
Okay. Let's see one example of object and class. I just want to write one sample program here. Okay. As we are talking about the school and all, I'll just take the same example here. Okay. So object and class. We didn't download Eclipse yet, right? So that's the reason I'm just writing that in a notepad. So maybe once we downloaded the Eclipse, we'll go to Eclipse and we'll design the program there. Okay, for now I'm creating a class student. Okay, in this I'm going to identify with the UID, unique ID, and then string student name. String student name. This is the main class, student class that I have created. And the nested class will be class substudent. Okay, I'm just creating this another class. So every class should have main method, which is nothing but public static void main of string args. So those who don't have programming knowledge, don't worry about this. I'll explain you each and every term what you are seeing on that notepad. Okay, so don't worry. I'm just letting you know the example of class and object. You'll come to know what is meant by public. What is meant by static? What is meant by void? What is meant by main? What is meant by string? What is meant by args? Why we need to use this brackets? Why we need to use this flower braces? Each and everything I'll let you know. But for now, to understand how the program view is, I'm just creating this program. Okay, so student, where we started with yes, right? Okay, yes, 1 is equals to new student. Okay, s1 dot id is equals to 10001. s1 dot, okay, this is unique id, right? uid. S name is equals to some, I'm just taking testing. Whenever you are writing the names, it should be in double quotes, semicolon, system dot out dot println. System dot out dot println. s1 dot uid, s1 dot uid plus space, and then s1 dot sname. Okay, fine. This should be fine. Okay. I'll guide this program in a simple way. Okay. First of all, I have created a program. So it contains both objects and classes. Okay, this is the class and this is also class. And where is the object here? This is the object here. This is the object here. Object syntax is always, let me write the syntax here so that you'll come to know. Object name is equals to new object. Object name is equals to new object. This is the syntax of object creation. This is the syntax of object creation process. So in the same process, we have created an object here. If you can observe, student s1, student is object name is s1 is equals to new object. So here we have uppercase, right? The same thing we should have here, right? Done. Now initially I have created a class here. This class this student class contains unique identifier uid and sname, student name. So sname is nothing but it's an alphabet, right? So these are all about like words that we are going to have, alphabets we have. So that's the reason we mark it as a string. We mark it as a string, and id is nothing but a number, so we are marking it as a id. Int means integer. Now we need to get the output uid and sname, right? Whatever the name of the student and whatever the unique identifier of that student, we need to get it in the output. So in order to get these two values into the output, we need to send the data, right? How to send the data? In order to send the data, first we created an object. So object is nothing but student s1 is equals to new student. This object, whatever we are calling, is nothing but this class name. Okay, the same thing, because if you are going to call this, then only we'll get this identifier, unique identifier, and the s name. Otherwise we will not be able to get that, right? So once we create an object, we are sending this data. This is the uid and this is the name of the student. In Java, in general, in Java, if you want to see the output, then you need to write this statement, system.out.println. So it will give whatever the data that you are passing here, it will give the same thing in the output. S1.uid means S1.uid is nothing but this one. And I have given some space here, and then S1.sname, this one, testing. 10001 space, testing will be the output. It's a simple example, no complication. Only thing that you have to get is what is meant by public, what is meant by static, what is meant by void, what is meant by main. Here I have opened 2 flower braces and I have closed 2 flower braces. And every statement should end with semicolon. Every statement should end with semicolon. And one logic that you should understand here is why we have used the same name here. Whatever the class name we have here, why we have used the same name as an object name. So that you have to understand. Apart from this, rest of the activities are same. So any questions?
No, sir.
So explain next.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other inputs?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So let me explain this one again. So the creation of object we are talking about. So what is the purpose of creation of object? So as you already know, the object creation contains 3 things. One is status, another one is behavior, and another one is identity. Right? State is always represents the data that we are going to send to the object. Second one, behavior means how this functionality can be executed. And identity is nothing but what is the unique identity that we are going to have while creating an object and to execute that object, to execute that program. These 3 things that we are going to have for object. And class is nothing but a group of objects. It might be one object or it might be multiple objects. This program refers to the example of object and class in a single program. Object and class in a single program, where we have that object and where we have the class. And this is the class student, and this is subclass, class sub student, and this is the object. It is the object, right? We have both class and object in a same program. Now, as per the definition, if you remember, an object should have, every object should have state, behavior, and identity. State means we need to send the data. So in order to send the data, we cannot send the data directly. So that's one of the main reason we need to send the data using that particular object name. We need to send the data using particular object name. What is the object name here? This is the object name. This is the object name. By using this object name, we are sending the data. This is the state. Behavior. What is meant by behavior? Whatever the data that we are sending here, it should display it in the output. The data should display in the output. That should be the behavior. That should be the behavior. But identity, what is meant by identity? How you need to identify, right? So there are 2 objects. There are 2 identifiers here. One is unique ID and second one is student name. So these 2 identifiers it has to identify. In order to identify, we need to define this one, UID and SName. So we have defined this UID as an integer and SName as a string here. Right? So after defining these things, we need to print that. We need to get the behavior. So that printing statement we have given it as system.out.println. S1.uid means it will print 10001 space s1.sname, it will print test. It's a simple logic, guys. No complications here. Only the technical thing, programmatic thing, how you need to design and all, you need to know. That I'll guide you. This is just a day 1 class. You need to understand. but still we need to discuss more about what is meant by int, integer, what is meant by string, what is meant by double, what is meant by decimal, what is meant by float. All these things we need to discuss. Boolean.
Yes.
Okay, next one. What is meant by polymorphism? Anyone? If you know, you can start.
Sir, it is a keyword.
It is a
Many
key.
forms, sir.
Poly means many, morphism means forms, sir.
There is
Okay,
in many forms, sir.
many
Like,
Runtime and compile to time.
runtime and compiled to time. Okay, any other?
One method, many things, sir.
One method, many things. Okay, any other? Okay, so I can consider many forms as one thing, and second thing will be one method, many forms. But still, if you want me to explain it in a general format, polymorphism is nothing but only one. In simple language, if you want me to tell with real-time example, one device which can be used for multiple tasking, multitasking. One method which can be used to have multiple tasks. Okay, so polymorphism is nothing but it might be multiple actions, or it might be a single action. How it is going to perform in different ways. Single program which can be used to execute it in a different ways is nothing but polymorphism. Polymorphism. Single program which can be used to execute it in a different ways is nothing but polymorphism. Right, there is no specific structure or something for this, but it's a kind of process that we can follow. It's a kind of process that we can follow. Generally we can call this as a runtime polymorphism. During the execution, on the fly it will come into the picture. On the fly it will come into the picture. So there is no specific discussion that we can keep here at polymorphism, but only thing that you should remember always is polymorphism is nothing but only one action which can be executed in a different ways is nothing but polymorphism. Maybe while designing a program, you will come to know more detail about polymorphism. I'll give the remaining examples of this program at the end of the OOPS concept. Okay. Next one we have inheritance, abstraction, and encapsulation. I'll give 5 minutes of time. Just go through this inheritance, abstraction, and encapsulation, and I want you to explain what is inheritance, what is meant by abstraction, and what is meant by encapsulation. Okay. Now the time is 9:10. I'll wait till 9:15. Just go through that. If you want to Google it, and let me know the information, at least basic definitions of these three things. Okay. I'll be on mute meanwhile. Okay. Did you get the information?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can anyone start with inheritance?
A new class divided from whole class, sir.
A new class derived from whole class. Okay. Any other?
Using
Requires the
property.
properties from one class to another classes.
1 second. Let me note the points. A
Using
new 1
properties.
second. A new class derived from whole class. Okay. Second one using
Sir, old class, old.
old. Okay. Next.
Requires the properties from one class to other classes.
Request. What is that?
Requires, sir.
Required.
Yes, sir.
Required properties from
Parent class
One
to
class
child.
to other classes.
one
Parent
class to another class, or what is that? Parent class to
class. Child
It is in
class.
a process to generate information from parent to child side.
genetic information process to
No, sir. Genetic information passes to parent class to child.
process of passing genetic information from parent to child. Next.
Can be defined as a process where one class acquires the properties like methods and fields.
Okay, maybe we have to define more in this definition. You are just explaining only one side of the definition. What is the other side? Okay, any other?
Child class acquires all the properties and behavior of the parent class.
Yes, the earlier comment is this one. Child class acquires the properties of parent class. Next. Any other? Anyone check the example or syntax of inheritance? Okay, fine. So keep these points here and we'll go to abstraction. What is mean by abstraction? Anyone?
The process of
hiding internal
the
details of an application.
process of hiding the unnecessary details, providing the necessary details to the user.
Process of
Hiding
hiding
the necessary details, unnecessary details,
necessary details and
providing the necessary details.
providing the required information. Next.
It is used
Providing the essential information and hiding the background details.
Providing the essential information and hiding the background details. Next.
Showing only functionalities.
What is that?
Showing only functionalities and hiding the implementation of it.
Showing only
Functionalities
and
hiding the implementation details.
Hiding the implementation details. Okay. Next. What is that? Can you please repeat?
Implementation details are hidden from the user.
Implementation
Details are hidden from the user.
hidden from the user. User means who is the user here? End user or who is that?
End
End
user.
user.
Okay, I'll note down this point. What is that? Can you please repeat that?
Implementation details are hidden from the user.
Implementation details are
Hidden from the user.
okay. Here end user means who is that? End user you said, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Think about it. Meanwhile, if I'm going to discuss, okay, whether it is end user or someone else.
Okay.
And it is used to create the boundary, sir.
What is that? Boundaries.
It is used to create the boundary with clients and end users.
Clients and end users. No. What is meant by abstraction definition? Programmatical definition we need to have. Okay, so boundaries between client and end user, no, it's not the one. It might be a property, but it's not the actual definition of abstraction. Yeah.
It only allows important information to display. It helps hide to implementation details.
Only displays important info.
Information to helps hide the implementation details. It helps to hide implementation details.
And it helps to hide the
Implementation details.
implementation details. Think about this point. I can say 60% is correct and 40% is wrong, or else 40% is correct, 60% is wrong. This is not the thing that I am just expecting. Next.
Process of hiding the implementation details and revealing only the functionality to the user.
Already we have that. Implementation details we have already. All these first 3 to 4 points are this. Okay. Auto encapsulation.
Binding of all components. Process of wrapping similar code in one place.
Process of wrapping similar code in one place. Okay. Let me write that.
It refers to the bundling of data with the methods that operate.
One second. Process of wrapping similar code in one place. Okay. Next one. What is that?
It refers to the bundling of data with the methods that operate on that data.
No, point is not clear.
Sir, binding group of data within a single unit of class.
Binding group of data within
the methods.
single unit of class or method.
Class.
Okay. Someone said within the method. Okay. I'll write that as well. Next. What is the next one?
It is the method of making complex systems, sir. And it
Method
is
of
used to,
making complex systems.
and it is handled to, it is easy to handle end user.
Method of making
Complex.
complex system to what?
End user. It is
No,
easier to,
don't talk about end user here. We are talking about programmatically. End user doesn't have any benefits with OOPS concept. End user will not see any of the program that you are going to share. End user will not be able to see any of the technical things which are going to happen in the backend. Okay, end user will always talk about end user will always talk about the front end functionality only. That front end functionality refers to the backend programs that we are going to design. That designing part we are talking about now. So the concept of encapsulation refers to method of making complex system to what? So initially there is a complex system what you are talking about. It converts to what? Do you understand my question? It converts to what is my question now?
to front end systems.
To front end systems, no? Method of making complex system into simpler format. It converts that simplicity, right? Wherever that piece of code that we are going to have at multiple areas, we are going to combine it. We are going to integrate it. We are going to capsulate it. We are going to make everything into a single unit. If you mark it as a single unit, then it will be very easy to make that application into a simple format. Everything will be in a single application. No need to navigate to multiple applications and no need to worry about different components which are at different places, because all are integrated at a single step, right? So that converts your complex system into a simple format. After converting that into simple format, then end user comes into the picture. Do you understand my point? When the system is complex, end user will not come here and he'll not convert that into simple format. You are the authorized person to convert your complex system to a simpler format, and then end user will use that. That's how we need to define. Okay, any other inputs from anyone? No, are we good? Okay, fine. Let me repeat those points what you have mentioned. So generally, in general definitions, what you said is 100% valid. One or two that we can keep it aside. But for now, if you want to understand how this works, these general definitions are helping you to understand how this inheritance. Sorry, is anyone talking? Is anyone have any questions? Can you please go on mute, Pradeep? Okay. So inheritance, abstraction, and encapsulation. So what are the definitions that we have given? What are the comments that we have given to inheritance? Okay. Inheritance is nothing but process of hiding the a new class derived from the old class. A new class derived from the old class. That's one point. Required properties from one class to another class, which is nothing but parent class to child class. Third point, process of passing genetic information from parent to child. This might be out of the box when you compare it with your programmatic knowledge, because we are talking about the programmatic way or software perspective. In that case, genetic information may not be discussed here, but still the point is valid. We considered it. And next one is child class acquired the properties of parent class. So one of the most frequent, maybe definitions wise all are correct, but in real time, most of the terminology depends on this fourth point. So generally they used to call it as a child class and parent class. Did you get the properties from the parent class and did you append it to your program? All these things that we are going to discuss. And after this point, we are going to talk about a new class derived from the old class. So more more frequently, like on regular basis, whenever you are designing a program, even in automation also, even in general Java program also, if we are going to work on that, we'll come to know these are the terms that we are going to use very frequently in the real time. So that kind of terminology, the kind of terminology that we are going to use, is something like you have to understand, like the generic terms apart from the technical terms, everything you have to understand how it works in the real time. One second. Okay, so how it works in the real time. So whenever you are dealing with such type of definitions, first try to understand what is meant by parent class, what is meant by child class, how the properties of parent class has been sent to the child class. How can we do that? All these things you have to understand first. Then only you'll come to know how this parent class concept works in the real time, how this child class concept works in the real time. So that is very, very, very important. Okay, which is very, very important. And over to abstraction. The programmatic wise, we'll discuss it later. Just keep it aside. We'll discuss all the programs at once. So object and class are interrelated. We discussed about that, but rest of the programs we'll discuss through Eclipse only. Okay, and abstraction. What is meant by abstraction? Process of hiding the unnecessary details and providing the required information, which is correct. Providing the essential information and hiding the background details, correct. Showing only functionality and hiding the implementation details, which is 100% true, because to the end user or the client, we are not going to display the implementation part. We are not going to show the implementation part. We are not going to show the programs that we have designed, right? We are just giving the functionality. We are just giving the functionality to the user, end user, so that we are hiding the implementation details. That's what end user comes into the picture here. But next point, implementation details are hidden from the user. Implementation details are hidden from the user. Maybe, yes, my understanding would be different. I don't know who said this point, but still this point is correct. We are hiding the implementation details from the user. We are not supposed to give the implementation details until and unless if it is a requirement to the end user. Okay, this is correct. Only displays important info and it helps to hide the implementation details, right? We can say important information means it might be application, it might be functionality, it might be UI, whatever. So instead of important, we are going to display the info and hiding the implementation details. All are correct. But one of the important technical point that we can add to this abstraction is abstraction program will be implemented by using a keyword called abstract. Abstract is the main keyword that we are going to use. Okay, next one, encapsulation. What is meant by encapsulation? Encapsulation. So whenever you search it in Google, you'll see one capsule symbol, one tablet symbol. What is that means? All the ingredients are there in that particular capsule only. So based on that, based on the definition, they have given that kind of pictures when you search it in Google. So the same process, the same definition we are having, process of wrapping similar code in one place. It might be similar code, it might be dependent code, but everything will be wrapped at a single place. binding group of data within single unit of class or method. So everything will be binded, everything will be grouped together, everything will be at a single unit. So which is nothing but encapsulation and method of making complex system into simpler format. When we can say that it is more simple, the method of converting, like there is a complex system means the functionality are there at multiple applications. We are going to combine that into a simple format, we are going to combine that into a single format, single application, so which makes the user in a more comfortable way to use the application. So these are all the comments that we have and suitable definitions for each and every term that we have here: inheritance, abstraction, and encapsulation. And here there is another term called method. What is meant by method? What is meant by method? Method is nothing but a piece of code which can be used to perform specific task. A piece of code which can be used to perform specific task. So there is some specific task. Suppose if you want to print something, that printing of something is nothing but a specific task that you want to do, right? If you want to perform that specific task, method has to be created. If you want to perform some action, like if I want to perform some addition, in order to perform that addition, you have to create a method. In order to perform subtraction, you have to create a method. In order to perform some login, you have to create a method, right? Here in the earlier program, if you can see this example, this public static void main is a method here. Main is a method which is called main method, we can call in Java program. That means every program will have method. Every program will have method. So method is nothing but which can be used to perform a specific task, a piece of program or code which can be used to perform specific task. Inside method, we are going to have a concept called method overloading and method overriding. Method overloading and method overriding. So this method overloading and method overriding, we will discuss it in when we discuss about the variables. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay, so before login tomorrow to the session, I want you to download Eclipse. Okay, so go to, need to stop this one. Yeah, go to Google and search for Eclipse IDE download. So if you can go to Eclipse IDE download, go to Eclipse downloads, you'll have the package. So download this Eclipse IDE 2022-12. You'll get this installer. Once you download this x86-64, this Eclipse, double click on that, the Eclipse setup will be done in your system automatically. Okay, so download this one before going to start the session tomorrow. Okay, so once you get this Eclipse, we will discuss about the examples of each and every program and each and every concept that we have. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Jyoti, did you receive the programs from them? Any programs to the drive? Jyoti K.
Yes, they uploaded some documents, but
Okay.
they didn't mention whether it is first or second. That is what I'm confused.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you create a folder, separate folder, just one folder, create it, and everyone, whatever the programs that you are uploading, So the naming format of your program should be like this. Okay, your file name should be like this. Keep the file name as your name. Okay, underscore, which is login or search or whatever functionality name. Okay, and then number, whether it is 1 or 2. Dot, the file name should be SIDE. Okay, so keep this format to your files and upload to that folder. Understood, guys? Whoever uploaded, don't think that you have already uploaded. Just rename your files and upload it once again to the folder which Jyoti is going to provide you.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Fine, Jyoti. If they can
Yes.
upload this one, we'll come to know. So once they uploaded, please share that link to me. Maybe tomorrow also fine. So once you
Yeah.
share that link so that I can start reviewing those things.
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.